strangling and killing his girlfriend has been moved from Dolores County to La Plata, according to a March 25th court order by 22nd District Court Judge Todd Plew. William Blackburn was charged with second-degree murder as an act of domestic violence after the death of 61-year-old Cindy Johnson on January 7th, 2015. Prosecutors could not find an adequate number of suitable jurors in Dolores County because of relationships between potential jurors and possible witnesses in the case. Because the jury pool was exhausted in that county, Plew declared a mistrial March 9th. Plew wrote in the March 25th order, "It has become obvious to the court, the district attorney and the defendant that a fair and impartial jury cannot be impaneled in Dolores County." Blackburn is instructed in the order to appear before La Plata County District Court Judge William L. Herringer at 8 a.m. April 8th. After the March 9th mistrial declaration, Plew had reset the trial date on May 16th, but that date had been vacated according to the order. The defense alleged that pre-trial publicity regarding the case affected the Dolores County jury pool, but the court didn't find that to be an issue. According to the order, very few prospective jurors were dismissed because of pretrial publicity, the order states. Timing conflicts in Montezuma District Court made a change of venue to La Plata County in the 6th Judicial District necessary. Plew wrote that he expects Blackburn's trial to take 2 to 3 weeks.
From the Cortez Journal, the former marshal of Mancos has pled guilty to official misconduct. The Denver Post reported that John Cox entered his plea last Thursday and was sentenced to 6 months probation. He was the top law enforcement officer in Mancos until last November, when he resigned following an arrest for driving under the influence. Days later, he was charged in a separate case with perjury, false reporting, and a computer crime. Prosecutors say Cox falsified a speeding ticket, used a computer system without authorization, and abused his power as a law officer. He was ordered to pay $224 in restitution to a woman who authorities say he falsely ticketed for speeding in a school zone. Cox pled guilty in the DUI case earlier this month. He was convicted in 2009 in Indianapolis while working as a police officer for a county school system. In the misconduct case, Cox was accused of second-degree perjury, false reporting to authorities, and second-degree misconduct in connection with 2 separate incidents last year. In the first case, he was accused of using law enforcement equipment to conduct a personal investigation into a romantic rival. In the second incident, he was suspected of citing a woman for driving 45 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. He claimed to have caught her on radar, even though he was sitting in a coffee shop when the driver went by. A hearing on those charges was set for the 10 a.m. March 24th in the 22nd Judicial District Court in Cortez.
From the Durango Herald, continued news on the Gold King mine issues. Federal environmental officials last Thursday released a final 1-year water monitoring plan in the wake of the Gold King mine spill. The EPA said it plans to examine water and sediment quality, biological communities, and fish tissue at 30 locations under a variety of flow and seasonal river conditions along the Animas and San Juan rivers. After the first year, according to the plan, the need for additional monitoring and assessment and the entities best suited to undertake further monitoring will be determined. The EPA acknowledged fault in the August 5, 2015 Gold King incident, in which an estimated 3 million gallons of mustard yellow mining sludge poured into the Animas, shutting down the river for 8 days. The inactive Gold King mine is north of Silverton. The Animas River tested for initial spikes in heavy metals, including arsenic, lead, copper, and aluminum. The EPA also announced that it would make $2 million available for additional monitoring needs designed to complement the year-long effort. Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and the Navajo Nation will monitor the spring runoff. Spring 2016 is the first snowmelt season in the Animas and San Juan watershed since the spill. There is concern that heavy metal concentrations in the river may rise as flows increase, posing a risk to downstream communities and aquatic life. A large spring snowpack has increased those concerns. The preparedness plan includes sensors providing real-time data, including turbidity and flow levels. The plan also calls for water quality sampling at regular intervals to track river conditions. La Plata County Commissioner Gwen Letchelt added, "I'm pleased with the cooperation amongst the downstream entities to monitor the spring runoff in the wake of the Gold King mine spill. With the winter snowpack and ongoing acid mine drainage in the Animas watershed, it's critical we have this level of cooperation not only this year but throughout the Superfund cleanup process." The sampling locations will span Cement Creek, the Animas and San Juan rivers, and the upper section of the San Juan arm of Lake Powell. An EPA spring sampling event is underway, which will be followed by additional sampling in June and again in the fall.
In related news, according to the Durango Herald, Rebecca Thomas is the Environmental Protection Agency's newly appointed remedial project manager for the Bonita Peak Mining District Superfund site, which will be set up to handle the Gold King mine spill issues. Thomas has done remedial work on Superfund sites in Libby, Montana, which suffered asbestos contamination, and the California Gulch and Kennecott copper mine projects, which were both affected by mine pollution similar to the Bonita Peak site. With a team that includes ecological risk assessors and community involvement coordinator, Thomas said she will be working not only with the communities of Silverton and San Juan County, but also Durango, La Plata County, and the Ute Mountain and Southern Ute Indian tribes. The Bonita Peak Mining District, which encompasses about 48 properties around Cement Creek, Mineral Creek, and the Upper Animas, will be listed on the Federal Register and likely receive official Superfund designation next month. The EPA spends an average of 6 years on research before remedial action is taken at Superfund sites, but some smaller, less complex mining properties may be eligible for early action. They will also be working with the Bureau of Land Management to conduct cultural resource surveys for historic sites and wetland inventory, in addition to the water contamination monitoring. Thomas plans to have a regular presence in Silverton at least 1 week out of the month. There are tentative plans for public meetings in both Silverton and Durango in late April.
According to the Durango Herald, distillers have joined the ballot fight to allow full-strength alcohol sales in supermarkets, competing with grocery stores that have been pushing for beer and wine sales. Distillers last Wednesday submitted language for 2 ballot initiatives. The first effort would include liquor along with wine and beer sales in grocery stores. The second would allow for a store to have as many as 10 licenses to sell full-strength alcohol rather than the one permitted under current law. The move comes nearly 5 months after grocery stores filed ballot language to allow just the sale of full-strength beer and wine in supermarkets. The coalition is awaiting state approval to begin collecting the 98,492 valid signatures to qualify for the ballot. Allowing full-strength beer and wine sales in grocery stores will give people more choices when they shop and businesses a fair shot to sell their customers, while allowing Coloradans to join consumers in 42 other states that can buy Colorado craft beer or wine in grocery stores. Distillers felt left out of the conversation, so they have been pushing for lawmakers to introduce legislation to include liquor. The legislation would be similar to the ballot efforts, though it has struggled and so far has not materialized. Distillers say they remain open to a legislative solution. Opposition to the original beer and wine ballot proposal has been led by a large group of craft brewers and liquor store owners who fear that the move would shutter small liquor stores, many family-owned, making it difficult for independent brewers to place products on shelves. Ska Brewing Company and Steamworks Brewing Company have joined the coalition of brewers opposing the initiative. In August, Steamworks became the second brewery in the state to produce a special beer, Keep Colorado Local, as in locale, opposing the effort. And now let's take a look at the weather with Jerry.
So our regional satellite image. Southwest winds will increase this afternoon as a big upper-level low pressure system deepens over the Great Basin. Temperatures will be milder today under this strong southwest flow. Steady winds up to 30 miles an hour with wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour in the valleys are possible with higher speed gusts along ridges and peaks. These winds will be with us through late afternoon Tuesday. This will make for critical fire weather conditions for southwest Colorado with these gusty winds, low humidity, and dry fuels. In spite of the winds, we will have a chance of rain tonight, with chances increasing for Tuesday, with rain and blowing snow possibilities at 50% and decreasing into 20 percentiles Tuesday and Wednesday. This system is to clear out Wednesday night. Our national image shows that there's a front extending from the lower Great Lakes to the eastern Gulf Coast. This will move eastward off most of the East Coast by late tonight. Rain will develop along the boundary from the Great Lakes to parts of the Tennessee Valley and southern Appalachians, from parts of the New England to the Carolinas, that will also move eastward off the southern mid-Atlantic coast and most of the southeast by this afternoon. Snow that is over parts of the upper Great Lakes should be ending by this evening. Rain and snow will develop over parts of the northeast tonight changing over to all snow by tomorrow afternoon over northern New England. In addition, part of the front will linger over southern Florida through Tuesday night. Showers and thunderstorms will develop over parts of Florida this afternoon and into Tuesday evening. Meanwhile, an upper-level low over the northwest will sink southward to the Great Basin and Central Rockies by tomorrow. This system will produce rain along parts of the Pacific Northwest and Northern California coast by this evening. Through this evening. Snow and lower elevation rain will develop over parts of the interior Northwest and Northern California eastward to the northern high plains and Central Rockies. This will spread into parts of the Southwest on Tuesday as the system moves eastward. Moisture from the western Gulf of Mexico will stream northward over the plains overnight tonight and into Tuesday. Rain will start to develop over parts of the central and northern plains tomorrow morning, moving into parts of the upper Mississippi Valley by the evening. Showers and thunderstorms will start to develop over parts of the western and central Gulf Coast on tomorrow afternoon, expanding into parts of the southern plains by tomorrow evening. In our 5-day forecast, our high temperature expectations for Tuesday through Thursday will be just plus or minus of 50, with Friday and Saturday in the upper 50s and up to 60 Saturday. Lows will range from the lower to upper 20s with chances of rain and blowing snow into tomorrow and possibly Wednesday. Winds again here are to be nasty, gusting to at least 45 miles an hour with the critical fire hazard. And now back to the news. Kendra?
Cortez Journal reported the Ute Mountain, Uinta and Ouray Utes and Navajo, Hopi and Zuni tribes have formed the Bears Ear Intertribal Coalition. They met this month at the Friends of Cedar Mesa conference in Bluff, Utah to urge President Barack Obama to declare 1.9 million acres of public lands in southeast Utah as the Bears Ears National Monument. The Allen Canyon Band of Ute Mountain Utes have made a name for themselves, creating artistic wedding baskets out of willows and plant dyes collected from the remote canyon in southeast Utah. The clan accesses the traditional area from their base on the White Mesa Reservation. But the Utes and other tribal leaders say those and other ancestral sites are at risk of looting, vandalism, energy development, and recreation impacts because they are often located on public lands. Ute Mountain Ute tribal member Mary Jane Yazzie said, "Now I notice a lot of new roads being created in the canyon. People have dug up pottery and discarded desecrated burials. We feel a monument will help better manage and protect the land." Navajo Natasha Hale of the Grand Canyon Trust said local tribes tried to push legislation for a national conservation area, but the vision fell on the deaf ears of politicians, so tribal leaders came together to petition for a monument designation. Eric Deschini, co-chair of the Bears Ear Coalition representing the Navajos, said anthropology and archaeology can be abstract and dehumanizing. He said the Antiquities Act protects objects as if they are non-living beings. Look through the lens of Native people. The rocks, wind, the land, and homes of ancestors are more than objects. They are living and breathing. That is how we understand reality and how we reflect on the Bears Ears landscape. For the Zuni, the area of Cedar Mesa is part of their Medicine Man Society. It is very sacred. Our people emerged from the Grand Canyon and were directed to find this middle place of everlasting sunshine. The coalition wants more Native tribal involvement if a monument is declared. A proposed 8-person management commission would include representatives from each of the 5 tribes, plus officials from the Forest Service, National Park Service, and the BLM. Pictures were distributed among the audience of looted ruins, burned wickiups, a traditional Ute dwelling, off-trail motorized damage, oil and gas development, and attempted theft of rock art. The President and Interior Secretary Sally Jewell have held meetings with tribal leaders in the Southwest, and Obama has hinted that Bears Ears may be on his list of monuments to declare. No deadline or specific date has been mentioned.
As reported by the Durango Herald, the chairman of a Colorado State Senate committee last Thursday delayed a vote on a bill that would allow Coloradoans to collect rainwater from off their roofs. The move drew criticism from supporters who pointed out that Republican Senator Ellen Roberts of Durango supported the bill last year and offered to the swing vote again this year to advance the legislation out of committee. The bill also earned overwhelming support in the House this year, where it started. It marks the second time Republican Senator Jerry Sonnenberg of Sterling delayed a vote on rain barrel legislation. He did it last year when the bill moved through his Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy Committee. It sat there for nearly a month. Concerns for the bill revolved around water rights, whether the two 55-gallon barrels would take water from rightful owners. The state's prior appropriation system grants water rights to the first person to take water from an aquifer or river despite residential proximity. A study by Colorado State University found that allowing 110 gallons of rainwater storage per household would not decrease surface runoff by any detectable amount on a typical lot. The bill has been amended to state that using a rain barrel is not a water right. Another amendment would require the state engineer to evaluate the use of rain barrels and whether there is any impact to water rights across the state. Water collected would be used on the residential property where it is stored, usually for things such as watering gardens. There's no set time for the bill to be brought to a vote.
Reported in the Durango Herald, heirloom fruit trees are being planted as part of the Montezuma Orchard Restoration Project. Last year, a historic orchard in McElmo Canyon, owned by Philip and Vivian Kenyon, was recognized as a historic site by Colorado's Most Endangered Places program. 5 historic fruit trees have survived on the Kenyon's Gold Medal Orchard, and last week an heirloom apple and peach tree were added. Much of the history of the orchard was from my dad growing peaches there between 1930 and 1970, Vivian posted on her Facebook page. The plan is to graft and clone 25 apple, peach, cherry, and pear varieties that once grew in McElmo Canyon and plant them on the Kenyon's 3-acre plot. The goal of the restoration project is to diversify the local agricultural market with fruits, says project coordinator Jude Schunemeyer. In the early 20th century, McElmo Canyon was famous for its truck orchards. Fruit from the Kenyon orchard won a gold medal at the St. Louis Exposition in 1904. The city of Cortez is considering incorporating a community heritage orchard as part of the city park system. Supporters are urged to voice their opinion on the idea on the Cortez Master Plan survey online. To date, the orchard project says it has identified 436 varieties of apples that were once grown in Colorado by early fruit-growing pioneers. 50% have been lost, and some of the varieties survive on trees more than 100 years old. The project has rediscovered 2 lost varieties, the Colorado Orange and the Cedar Hill Black. The orchard market crashed in the 1950s after the railroads left and monocultural crops took over. The project wants to bring the famous local fruit market back along with the jobs and sense of agricultural pride. Schunemeyer is offering grafting workshops April 9th from 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. in the Mancos School cafeteria, April 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Cliff Rose Garden Center in Cortez, and April 30th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Old Fort in Hesperus. The cost is $35 for Montezuma Orchard Restoration Project members and $45 for others. For more details or to get involved, go to montezumaorchard.org.
And now the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of March 21st to the 27th. Deputies responded to and are investigating a report of trespassing and destruction of property on agricultural land in the county. Deputies responded and are investigating a report of pedestrian trespassing on a town business property. The person was previously warned not to trespass prior to this report. And an injured deer was reported on Highway 491 by more than one party, including the vehicle the deer hit. A deputy responded to ensure that traffic wasn't blocked and found the deer had expired. The deputy pulled the carcass to the ditch. The vehicle involved in the accident with the deer was given approval to do an online report with Colorado State Patrol. That's it for today's Roundup. Stay tuned this week for more updates.
And in today's High Country happenings, the 22nd annual Pueblo to Pueblo Run and Bike event will be held Saturday, April 30th, 2016. Choose from a 5K, half marathon, or 25-mile bike ride. Register before April 15th to get the early bird pricing and a t-shirt. Early bird prices are 5K for $20, half marathon $35, and 25-mile bike for $30. To look at the course maps and to register online, go to cortezculturalcenter.org. Registration is also now available there online for the 12th annual Ute Mountain Mesa Verde Birding Festival, May 11th through May 15th, 2016. This provides a popular venue for visiting southwestern Colorado during the second weekend in May. Nestled between alpine and mesa forests and scenic desert canyons, the Four Corners' intriguingly diverse landscapes and mild climate have drawn people to the region for generations. Today's meadows, pastures, cultivated fields, historic orchards, stock ponds, and reservoirs establish habitat for a wide spectrum of migratory and resident birds. The festival designs activities and tours to fit a gamut of abilities, ages, and interests. Early evening lectures, social hours, a bird-themed art show, and banquet add to the festival's 5 days of enjoyment. And the Montezuma County Historical Society is looking for submissions of favorite recipes for their Great Sage Plain to Timberline cookbook, Our Pioneer History. They asked to include a short paragraph of the origin of each recipe, looking to honor pioneer families. Either mail it to the Montezuma County Historical Society, P.O. Box 218 in Cortez, or email Ann Brown, awbrown288 at gmail.com, Haleen West, 2labsrule@q.com, or call June Head, 907-565-3880. And for today's end note, I looked up ubuntuplanet.org, uniting people across borders and cultural divide imposed on humanity, laying the foundations for communities of abundance and prosperity on our beautiful planet of infinite abundance. This, according to the Living Ubuntu philosophy, being spearheaded by Michael Tellinger, an author of 4 books, scientist and explorer who's become a real-life Indiana Jones, making groundbreaking discoveries about advanced vanished civilizations at the southern tip of Africa. He describes this as a liberation movement of higher consciousness. Might be time to give this concept some credibility, IMHO. A reminder that all of the High Country Happening details are posted to our Facebook page, and we'd love to share information about what's happening to support the regional groups, individuals, and communities, so please let us know your event by sending an email to dcbnnews@gmail.com, post to our Facebook page, or call 677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in and also using our online resources. This show is aired live at noon, Mondays through Wednesdays, and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m.
You can also rewatch us on YouTube. Search for DCTV News at Noon channel. For Jerry Tope and all those working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kendra Cook. Goodbye for now.